Futurama is one of my all-time favorite TV shows, and it was some of the first adult animation I ever saw. It's the perfect blend of smart and stupid, and unlike many other adult animated shows, it knew how to sprinkle in some genuinely emotional, heartfelt moments, and it helped Futurama to stand out as a truly unique piece in the world of adult animation. And while other long-running adult animated shows like The Simpsons, Family Guy, King of the Hill, and American Dad all have their fair share of emotional episodes, none of those have stuck in my mind quite like Futurama when it comes to heartfelt gut punches of episodes. And with a new season currently coming out weekly on Hulu, which I intend to review once it's wrapped up, I feel like there's no better time for me to revisit one of the best episodes of the show. Today, I'll be talking about Season 3, Episode 10 of Futurama called The Luck of the Fryrish, an episode that showcases Futurama at its best. The Luck of the Fryrish starts off with a flashback to the day of Fry's birth, and it's in this opening scene where we see the dynamic between Fry and his brother Yancey for the first time. Yancey isn't too happy to have to share the attention with his newly born baby brother, and immediately throws a fit about Fry being given the first name Philip. This outburst is then followed up by Yancey taking the spaceship off of baby Fry's mobile for himself, thus setting up a sibling rivalry between Fry and Yancey, where Yancey does his best to take credit and ownership of all of Fry's best ideas and discoveries. It's pretty petty, but this is a dynamic that is incredibly common when it comes to an older brother feeling neglected because of the presence of his younger brother. And after this flashback, we see the Planet Express crew enjoying themselves in the future, or for the purposes of this video, the present. The Planet Express crew are at the racetrack betting on horses, and there are some great gags here that play to the strengths of just about every character in the Planet Express crew. But the main gag to focus on is Fry's terrible luck. Fry's horses aren't winning any races, and worst yet, his last dollar is carried away by the wind. Fry tries to retrieve his last dollar bill before electrocuting himself on the power lines the dollar bill is caught on, and then he is promptly struck by lightning and lands in a dumpster. In this goofy string of events, we see just how unlucky Fry is in the present. But as it turns out, it wasn't always like this for Fry. We flash back again to Fry and Yancey playing basketball, now a good bit older than they were in the opening. Fry unleashes his patented space hook in an attempt to score on Yancey, commentating aloud, but the ball bounces off the rim. Yancey rebounds the ball and comes back at Fry with what he calls his patented space hook, commentating aloud in the same way Fry had earlier. Yancey, however, makes the shot, and Fry is upset that Yancey stole his move, and worse yet, was trying to take ownership of it. Yancey doesn't care and sends Fry off to grab the ball out of the grass, and it's here that Fry finds a lucky clover. But it's not your standard 4-leaf clover, it's a 7-leaf clover, which Fry believes to be incredibly lucky. Fry sticks the clover under his wristband and drives up to the three-point line to take a shot at the basket. Fry nails the basket, ending the game and celebrating. Yancey is in disbelief and simply calls it a lucky shot. The episode now cuts back to the present, where we see Fry moping over his lack of luck. Fry thinks his luck would turn around if he only had his lucky 7-leaf clover from 1,000 years ago. And after talking it over with the Planet Express crew, he thinks there's a chance it may still be in his safe at his old house in the ruins of old New York. So, Fry, Leela, and Bender all set off to the sewers where old New York is lying in ruin, in search of Fry's 7-leaf clover. After doing a few of the things Fry wished he could have done 1,000 years ago, like knocking a payphone off the hook and jaywalking, they make their way over to Fry's childhood home. But before they reach it, we see another flashback where Yancey is blatantly stealing Fry's signature breakdancing moves. Yancey and Fry are both a good bit older in this flashback, but the rivalry is still the same as it was when Yancey was a toddler. Fry's upset that Yancey stole his moves, and he tells Yancey to find your own life and live it.
Why do you always have to steal everything from me, Yancey? Find your own life and live it!
A line that will be important later. Fry decides to try out a dance move that he knows Yancey can't rip off, the septuple head spin, and with the power of the 7-leaf clover, Fry succeeds. The onlookers are all impressed by Fry's crazy difficult dance move, but Yancey gets upset, attributing all of Fry's success to the 7-leaf clover. Fry and Yancey fight over the clover, which is now laminated to keep it from wilting, and Fry successfully knocks Yancey over and runs home to hide the clover. Fry places the clover in his copy of the Breakfast Club soundtrack.
Ah, the Breakfast Club soundtrack. Man, I can't wait till I'm old enough to feel ways about stuff.
And then we cut back to the present, where Fry, Leela, and Bender are all walking down into the basement, where Fry's record vault is still sitting just as it had 1,000 years ago. But upon opening the Breakfast Club soundtrack, Fry realizes the clover is gone, and figures Yancey must have stolen it. Fry, Leela, and Bender make their way out of the ruins of old New York, and Fry, defeated, wonders aloud why his brother hated him so much. Leela insists that Yancey loved Fry, but just didn't have the opportunity to tell him before Fry got frozen and awoke in the future. Fry thinks Leela is probably right, until the three stumble upon a large statue. The statue looks fairly similar to Yancey, and stuck on the lapel of the large statue is a shape that looks oddly similar to Fry's 7-leaf clover. As the three investigate the statue, they notice the nameplate reads, Philip J. Fry, the first person on Mars. Fry is filled with anger at the sight of the statue and is certain Yancey stole not only his 7-leaf clover, but his name and his dream of going to space. Given the events of the episode so far, it would seem that Yancey never got over the pettiness of his and Fry's childhood rivalry, going right down to when they were toddlers and Yancey was upset that Fry received the first name Philip. Fry's line earlier in the episode where he yells at Yancey to find his own life and live it seemed to have no effect on his brother. At this point, Fry is beyond angry. He was sent into the future against his will so that his brother could live the life he had always dreamed of. And upon returning to the Planet Express office, Fry's suspicions are seemingly confirmed. Professor Farnsworth finds an old video cataloging the life of who Fry believes to be Yancey, though the video refers to him by his stolen name, Philip J. Fry. It seems as if Yancey really did steal every dream Fry had ever had throughout childhood. Fry, seeing his brother grown and living the life he had always wanted, decides to take drastic action. Fry hears in the video that Yancey was buried with his 7-leaf clover, and decides to go grave robbing to take back what was his. But before Fry, Leela, and Bender set off to retrieve Fry's 7-leaf clover, we see another flashback. Yancey has returned to his childhood home and is seen getting dressed in his father's camouflage suit that he intends to wear at his wedding. Fry's parents wish he had been there to see Yancey get married, still not knowing where he had gone. At the mention of Fry, Yancey asks if he can borrow some of Fry's old records for his wedding. Yancey first finds a crudely drawn picture of Fry showing himself living his dream of going to space. Yancey takes this picture and sticks it in his pocket, and then makes his way over to the safe, where he finds the 7-leaf clover, and seemingly takes it for himself. We then cut back to the present, where we see Fry, Leela, and Bender at a cemetery floating in Earth's orbit, where they believe Yancey is buried. The three make their way over to the large tombstone that's carved to look like a spaceship, featuring an etching that looks very much like a grown Yancey. The tombstone reads, Philip J. Fry, the original Martian. Fry is disgusted at the sight, and the three start digging to take back the clover. But as Fry is digging, he accidentally knocks the handle of his shovel into the tombstone, knocking away some of the moss that had accumulated. Fry starts to read the description on the tombstone intently, as the episode fades into yet another flashback. We see Yancey with his wife, who is holding his firstborn son. Yancey picks up his son and gives him the 7-leaf clover. Along with the clover, Yancey gives his son the name Philip J. Fry in honor of his brother, who Yancey says he still misses every day. Framed on the wall of Yancey's son's bedroom is the picture we saw earlier of Fry flying through space. As the episode fades back to the present, Fry is seen teary-eyed on his knees, realizing the horrible misunderstanding he had had. Yancey didn't steal Fry's life, but instead inspired his son to live it to carry on his brother's memory. Bender hands Fry the 7-leaf clover from the grave, and Fry looks at it in a whole new light. Leela decides it's best to leave Fry alone, and she leaves along with Bender. Fry places the 7-leaf clover back in the grave with a teary-eyed smile, knowing for certain now that his brother did in fact love him. Fry was so caught up in the sibling rivalry that he forgot Yancey had already grown up 1,000 years ago. The pettiness that Fry thought Yancey was still hung up on had already left him. And like his older brother, Fry decides it's time for him to grow up. The episode ends with the camera slowly pulling away out into space, as the iconic song Don't You Forget About Me from The Breakfast Club plays. Fry is seen from afar, smiling at the life his nephew had lived. And just as he had wished earlier in the episode, he had finally grown up enough to feel ways about stuff. And that is the Luck of the Fryrish, an episode that does a great job of working up the audience to hate Yancey as much as Fry did, only to come around with the heartbreaking realization that Yancey really did love Fry and never stole his life. It's such a perfectly executed story that doesn't rely on cheap drama or tragedy for its emotional peak, but instead relies on carefully executed setups and payoffs. If for whatever reason you haven't watched Futurama and just wanted to see what this episode was all about, I highly recommend you give the show a watch, because The Luck of the Fryrish is one of many fantastic episodes of Futurama that make you think you're going on a wacky adventure, only to have it take a heartfelt turn right at the end. Episodes like The Luck of the Fryrish are what sets Futurama apart from other long-running shows in adult animation. And if you ever find yourself in the mood to feel ways about stuff while still having plenty of laughs along the way, then this is the show for you. Thank you all very much for watching. My name is Mr. Cow, and if you have any episodes of TV shows or just shows in general you want me to check out that are in the adult animation genre, please leave them in the comment section below, as well as your thoughts on this episode, maybe the first time you saw it. I remember first seeing this episode and realizing just how special Futurama was as a show. It really stood out to me, it's still stuck in my brain, and it still holds up today, and I had a joy revisiting it and sharing it with you all today. Like and subscribe to become a cow. I don't think I have any other notes or things to talk about right now, so we'll just leave it there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.